average age or the age range that you're getting for that?
The age range, well, I think we did K to 6,
Yeah,
but I got mostly, honestly, it varied. Now I think about it.
Yeah, but the demographic we advertised to is kindergarten, 6th grade.
Okay. And you kind of mentioned it, so parents would parents actually stay for the whole thing, or just drop off, or?
Some certainly would. They would stay at Ridgepoint, which is more of a community park.
Right.
Freedom Park, at times they would stay.
Okay.
But they would just drop off their kids. I mean, Ridgepoint was so popular because it's so easy for parents to walk with their kids.
Okay. So since it's kind of a drop-in type thing, what's our liability if somebody drops off their kid, something happens to the kid? I mean, do we have any kind of a form filled out on kids?
Yeah, they filled out registration.
Okay, they do. Okay.
And every day we have them sign in as well, so we know who was there. And a way of contacting them.
I'm just liability. It's like, okay. Sorry.
If I could just come in and just make a comment. One of the things that that Mark and his staff had, we talked about it almost every day, how the program's going, how they're doing, and I think and maybe Mark is going to go into that. I don't want to take the sun away from him, but for some reason, again, we thought Freedom Park would just be fantastic, but we've come to realize everything that we're doing is they can do on their own anyhow, and it really doesn't fit that neighborhood kind of deal like the other one does, and so I think that they may be looking at that as an alternative next year.
Yeah. So Larry hit it right on the head. Next year, we're considering altering the hours. At Freedom, we conflicted with the free lunch program that was going on at FC Joyce. So a lot of kids would leave by 11:45, and so by that time, people working at Freedom had an early day, and Ridgepoint was more popular, obviously. So it could be making it a 9 to 12 program, just to avoid the heat. I mean, peak hours throughout the day are like 1 to 3 or so just to avoid the heat. We also are considering adding a new site. So me and Mark talked about it. Perhaps the park by Dudley Elementary.
Yeah, Cape Park Park.
Yeah, Cape Park.
Yeah, we considered there. We know there's a lot of kids that live within that part of our district, and it's a perfect place for us to set up in Regular Park next year because one, we can store stuff over at Cape Park. Right? If we have storage facilities, there's so much to do there. They can get inside the gym, or they can play on the fields out there. There's a playground. There's a lot of opportunity over at that park, maybe future use. But there's also other parks that we could also look into going into.
Okay, so I think Cape Park's a good idea, but you're right on the border with us and Sunrise.
Yeah.
So what happens if it gets out and we got most of the kids from Sunrise? What are we going to do?
I know.
Yeah.
Well,
we'll obviously accept it. The program is just for kids in the neighborhood.
Can we send Sunrise a bill?
No. Hopefully those kids will want to join our program down the road.
Okay.
Yeah. One of our other programs here is the Highland Golf and Swim Team. This lady right here, this is our new swim coach. Her name is Kiana Quinley. She's been working with us since 2011. She grew up in the program herself. She swam her whole life. Her dad coached her for a season. She's now our head coach. The response that we got for her as our new head coach is off the charts. She's so good with the kids. She's so good with the parents. This is her first year, so she hasn't learned a lot. But she has some experience in terms of she was a junior coach for us last year. And then she also coached at Center High School. She basically did this entire team this year by herself. First year on the job, learned how to do that.
She do that.
She's just good. She's just good. She had a lot of support. Travis did a great job supporting her. Parents supported her, they rallied around her. She's going to be a big reason why I think we're going to have an even better year next year. A lot of the parents were encouraged with the way she teaches. She gets in the water with the kids. She's not a swim coach who's going to stand on the sidelines. Right. She's going to get in the water. She's going to get her hands dirty. She's going to be there with them all the time. She's encouraging, but she's also there to make the kids better. So this year we had, if we go to the next slide too, we had 90 kids registered for the team. Another new thing for the swim team this year is we obviously don't have the pool here anymore. You guys can drive by. It's now basketball courts or volleyball nets. But we were at Highlands High School. Highlands High School was a great place, at least for practice. So many more swim lanes for the kids to get in and out. It was tough on days of events because bathrooms are a little farther away. And then also the lack of shade, but we can make do with it easily. I didn't hear any complaints about the pool this year and why are we at Highlands. Once we explained it to them, everybody understood. And we do anticipate the numbers will go up, not because it's going up too, but not to go back to the whole point, but the active net online registration, I think we're going to take in a lot more people that can once again register online.
What's the fee this year per child?
Well, the fee was $120, and then going into next year it'll be $130. We did raise it.
And we did have two other youth programs for sports. Youth volleyball camp. It had 11 total participants in the program, and there was a diverse range. So we had 3 participants in the 3rd and 4th grade range, 5 in the 5th to 6th, and 3 in 7th to 8th. So regardless of what grade level you were in within that program, you had other people with you, you're able to learn. And we had Haley James do the program, so she was very good in fostering curriculum to those specific age groups. Kiwi Sports Camp, I believe this was our first year. Second year. It was second year doing it. So we had 9 total participants, and we covered volleyball, basketball, football, frisbee, and baseball. And our staff did a great job with their patience and tailoring the curriculum, especially to that age group. So we consider this summer, me, Mark, an overall success.
Yeah. One thing to talk about just really quick about the volleyball camp. We tried running it just to show you how things are turning around here. As Michael was saying, things are getting better. It's a great time. We tried to run this youth volleyball camp for goodness 3 years, and we couldn't get any bites. This year, we got 11 people right off the bat. We have a lot more people that are investing in our youth programs. And you'll see that, I think, as we go out there throughout the year and with the online registration, we'll have even more people from the community invest in the program. So,
how long did the volleyball camp last?
6 weeks.
6 weeks.
6 weeks. Yeah. Okay. We're looking forward to another fun year, and we'll even have a better summer next year.
Perfect.
Yeah. You guys have any questions?
Yeah.
No, I'm very fine. Thank you for the time to put together. I know it takes a lot of work for a presentation here.
Any questions?
Yeah, we do. All right, so we're going to move on to item 10D, Center Joint Unified School District Ground Lease Agreement Extension. For those who've been around for a while, over at Sierra Creek Park, Center District has their trailers going over us, and the agreement actually expired at the end of August. And so I signed a 1-month extension until we met and got this thing going. So, and I don't know if Larry wants to explain what they have in mind to move forward on this. This year, not going to change. Next year, you had some ideas, and I don't know if you want to share that with everybody now or make it a surprise later.
Well, as Alan mentioned, this is for Spinelli School. They place portables on our property. It's kind of an easement for them to do that. And they're paying $2,500 a year for quite a while. When we got
it was only $500 until I got here. Said, screw it, they got money, it's going to $2,500. Sorry.
When Larry got the request from the school district in mid-August, he took a careful look at it and decided, that's kind of a low number. And as he's been doing with a lot of these use agreements and contracts, kind of built in an escalator, sent the information back to Center. They called up and wanted to meet and talk about the increase in the rent, if you want to call it that. So we had a very productive meeting with their superintendent and assistant superintendent and kicked around some ideas that would be mutually beneficial to both districts. So what we came up with was a 1-year extension as opposed to a 5-year extension. And then part of the what we'll spend in that year is formulating a joint use agreement between our two districts. We're already pretty close partners. The easement at Spinelli is one thing. Mark mentioned we use their transportation department during the summertime, and they've been a very good provider and an affordable provider of ground transportation for our day camp. But we want to take that, to the next step. So we're talking shared facility use, perhaps a more accessible promotional opportunities. Alan again touched on, Dudley sits, on one side of the fence, and that's in the Sunrise District. Cape Park sits on the other side of the fence, and that's in our district. And we've tried to adhere to that, that good neighbor policy with Sunrise as much as we possibly can. But we feel, with the proximity to that school and other schools in the Center Unified District, the promotional opportunities are there to grow programs, improve, facilities and those type of things. So our next task, if you approve this, is to enter into some discussions with their staff on the joint use agreement, and hopefully, become more active partners. We're already good friends. We want to be, formalize that and be active partners in servicing our community.
One thing I wanted to, Scott did a great job explaining that. One of the things that we noticed when we met with the superintendent and the staff, not only how receptive, but how interested they were in formalizing a relationship. And so we briefly talked about, what that structure might look like. But one of the things, and I did not know this, but they don't have a swimming pool. We don't have a swimming pool. They right now are sending their swim team to Rio Linda for practice and for meets. And while we haven't got there yet, I could sense that there's an interest here and we should take advantage of it. But, okay, because we don't have $3 million in our back pocket to go build a pool. And I know that they just spent a ton of money on bond improvements. But when there's a need and you can have two partners working together, because a lot of the, especially with the state grants that are going to be coming up here into next year, a lot of these things, I've got the feeling that there's going to be looking for partnerships, built-in partnerships, ready to go. And I just thought that this was a natural opportunity for us to work together with them. If we can formalize a joint use agreement, then that takes away from just saying, hey, well, hey, let's do this together, or let's do that together. The format is already in place. And, will we maybe go together in a pool someday? I don't know, but they seem to be interested in that. And I thought, well, you know what? We should take advantage of this while we can, because, superintendents, come and go, and you don't know if someday somebody else will be there. We have one that's very interested. Let's do this. So that's why we agreed to, let's just do a one-year agreement. And at the end of the 1 year, for some reason, we just really don't, maybe we're overly optimistic and this really isn't going to work out, then fine, then it will revert to a longer-term contract with more money coming into the district. But I think there's far more value to our district in formalizing that relationship than it is getting $2,500 or $3,000 a year. And so they seem very interested in it, and that's what we're going to be pursuing over the next year.
Yeah, just to add on to that, for all of you know that Sunrise really has no interest, Sunrise Park District has no interest in building another pool in Antelope, because they have the Antelope complex that Antelope High School uses with them. They're right next door. So Center is kind of out by themselves, and they would love to do it because, again, my daughter was on the swim team for 4 years when she was at Center, and it was over to Rio Linda, do the meets at Rio Linda, and it's very expensive for the district because they actually have to bus all the kids over daily to Rio Linda to do that. So, if we can come up with something, again, the only issue is their high school is outside of our district, so I don't know, hopefully we can come up with an idea, but, I'm all for this. And I've known Scott Laird for a long time. Scott's a good guy.